Hi, this is a conversation with Susan Webster. And in our first segment, we talked about her career as the mayor of the town of Bath. But now we're going to be turning it a little more personal and talk about you, Susan Webster. And let's start with, you are a native of Morgan County, yes? Or at least put it this way, you went to Berkeley Springs High School.
I went to Berkeley Springs High School. Now, my parents were born right in town. My grandparents were born here. My great-grandparents were born here. Growing up, though, I had what I call the privilege of growing up in the coal fields of southern West Virginia. When my father came home from World War II, he never wanted to leave West Virginia again. And he managed to change his job title to recruiter. So if you don't want to leave West Virginia, then you better be an Army recruiter. And that's what he did. And I was raised in Kanawha County, Fayette County, West Virginia, Mercer County, Bluefield area, and like that, before I came to high school here. We came here when my father received orders for Vietnam, and so you always go home when those kind of things happen. But what that did was it gave me a connection with the people in southern West Virginia that I've never forgotten and that they've never forgotten. When I go to Charleston, I'm almost going home. And they hear it in my voice, they hear it in my accent, they know that I am one of them, and it makes a big difference. Then moving here to Morgan County, it's good to have that connection too, because I went to high school with Morgan Countyans, and it was very idyllic then, as it was in southern West Virginia. Very idyllic. Southern West Virginia was also very isolated, but it was a wonderful time to grow up.
So when you look at the time when you went to high school and the idyllic Morgan County, Berkeley Springs, and today, what's changed? What's changed over that period of time?
Attitudes. There are influences now that weren't in Morgan County when I was in high school. There were no drugs. Honesty and integrity meant something. Now we're struggling with the economic development problems that we're having that I believe are very, very much linked with drugs and our crime rate. That makes it very different. And so that would be the major negative I see. A positive that I see is that we do have different people here who are interesting and bring great things to the community, and we can learn from them. And for the most part, I believe Morgan County is very tolerant and accepting. So that's the good and bad I've seen.
Okay, so you graduate from high school. I know because I've seen a picture in the Country Inn. You worked as a waitress and then did other things at the Country Inn. But there's that nice little picture.
Yes.
And then you went to Shepherd University.
Yes.
So you stayed here. You really stayed local and didn't really look at maybe leaving.
No, we looked at, you know, we can make it or break it here as well as anywhere else. This was home. This is where we started buying property and opening businesses. My husband, Pete, and I started our first business. I was 21 years old and he was 22. I've been an employer in Morgan County for 45 years. You know, it's really been an experience. I live what other people seem to want to pretend they know. I've lived it. So, and working at the Country Inn, I was always proud to work there. We worked hard. We were proud of the establishment. And that was in the days before microwaves or anything like that. Steam tables. It was tough. It was tough work, but we loved it.
But you also then, if I understand, you went into the restaurant business. You had your own restaurant.
Yes, we did. As a matter of fact, I opened 5 restaurants in my time, the Appalachian being the most long-lived and successful restaurant and lounge. We had music.
Where is that located?
That was located on North Washington Street. Right now, it's next to Himalayan Trading. It's the building next to that. So that was, at that time when we opened it, there was really no place to go. You could go to the Country Inn and be in that kind of environment, or you went to the American Legion, totally different kind of environment, membership and like that, but there was no kind of middle ground. And that's what the Appalachian was. It was that middle ground, became very, very popular, and we had a good time, but hey, it's a young person's game. Somebody else can do it, because they ask me all the time to open it back up, and I'm, no thanks. No thanks.
So you did that, I mean, and now, I mean, there's certainly a lot of restaurants in Berkeley
Yes.
County, Berkeley Springs, Morgan County, and in the town of Bath. And it is a difficult, I think, a very, very difficult business to be in.
It
and
is.
Hope to succeed for a long time.
Yes, but I managed in my life to always kind of be in retail or hospitality industry. When I was in high school, living here, we lived at the Washington House Hotel, the huge hotel that you see the pictures of that burned, 121 one-room hotel. My mother was the manager, so I grew up in the hospitality business there, registering people, cleaning rooms, carrying bags, vacuuming the carpet, and so I've grown up in the tourism business, and when you're in retail, you're always, you're always up, and so I have a very good understanding for treating customers and being good to people.
So what was the spark for that transition from hospitality retail, being a entrepreneur, into politics? Was that kind of like just something?
Idris Rosell walked into into the Appalachian, and at that time I had a 2-year-old son, and she walked in and she said, "We need you on the Town of Bath Council." There was an open seat and no one here. I thought, oh my God. Oh, please. Oh, because it had been very difficult times. And I said, oh, Idris, I'll think about it. Then I got a call from Paul Strawderman and other people in the community. And I thought, oh, gee. And when I made the decision with Pete to just put my name on the ballot, I said, our lives will never be the same. And it's true. Our lives have not been the same. But that's what it was. I went to council meetings anyway. I paid attention because it's important to pay attention to local government and all government. So I knew what I was getting into, and that's why it was a little bit scary.
But did you find you enjoyed that more than the hospitality business or the retail?
I had some affinity for it. I had an affinity for listening to people, making things happen, pushing on the other side, and like I said, when I got to the point that felt I could bring some advancements to the community, having that childhood in southern West Virginia and in Charleston, when I would go there on behalf of the town of Bath, it was almost like I was going home. So there was a very easy friendships made, relationships and like this, which enabled me to bring things home for the town of Bath.
I know when, as a high school student, you don't really know what you're going to do with your life, and not really. And then you go to college and you major in whatever, and you're going to think about what am I going to do, but you never know. But life is always filled with unexpected events and unexpected doors opening and changes. Right. And some people don't find that comfortable. They prefer to go a smoother path. But obviously you sort of greet change.
I'm a risk taker.
You're a risk taker?
I'm a risk taker. I don't know why. It's really a lot of trouble. It causes lots of trouble. But I'm comfortable in that, and if there's nothing going on around me, I'll think something up. Don't let me get bored, because something's going to happen. And it may not always be good, but and that's just a trait. It's a part of my character, and so I think it has been helpful in looking out and bringing improvements and like this, and not being afraid to step into new businesses and new ventures.
Now, I was reading an article, and I may get it wrong, and correct me, but I think you were a council person, but you saw something with the Association of Mayors, West Virginia
Oh, the
Association of Mayors?
Municipal League.
Yeah, the Municipal League. And you sort of thought, oh, that could be interesting.
Yes,
Tell me
I
about that
did.
a little bit.
Well, here's why. When I became the recorder, when I first came on council, one of the things that they did at the meetings was they opened up the mail. The mail had sat for 2 weeks, and they opened up the mail and went through it. And I thought, well, this is, strange. But one of the things that we kept getting in this mail was invitations to belong to the Municipal League and become active in the Municipal League. And at one meeting, I said to the other gentleman on council, I think I was the only woman, I said, this group might be something. This might be worth it. And they said to me, well, you know what? We'll pay for your hotel room or your gas, but we're not paying for both. So I forget which I paid for. I think it was the gas. But I went down, got involved, and as I said earlier, my education in municipal government affairs and like this was very important. You're just not born knowing these things. The Municipal League is the single most important organization in West Virginia for municipal officials. You're not going to get the education anywhere else. And so I became a regular attendee of conferences and workshops. I went up through the ranks. I was the treasurer, secretary, vice president, and president. I was the West Virginia Mayor of the Year.
So that was a good fit overall.
It was a good fit, and I worked with lobbying, the league's lobbying efforts for all of municipalities in West Virginia, which was an education too. It was an education.
Well, we are unfortunately out of time.
Well, I could go on forever.
We probably could go on forever. We could always do another episode, but...
Okay, all right, that would be fun,
Yeah.
certainly.
All right, well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to talk with you.
Pleasure to talk to you too. Thank you.